Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to another in our series of double shot interviews. This is where we speak to a minister or a CEO or someone who's got a particular point of view about the economy or business or interest rates, and we grill them. And today we've got Rod Drury, the CEO of Xero, in here. Again, remember a couple of weeks ago we had him talk about the issue of how to grow tech companies in New Zealand, and now we're looking in particular at Xero itself and its experience on the capital markets, because many of our readers are sceptical about New Zealand's capital markets. Why did you decide to do an IPO rather than sell it to another company, a trade sale?
As this builds on from the last conversation we had about trade sales, when we did Aftermail, my last business, we sort of saw that there was this model where sort of mid-sized US public software companies would go out and do deals. And the reason they do that is because there's a arbitrage on revenue. They might be able to buy at a revenue multiple of sort of 2 or 3, and then it's worth 6 or 7, so they're going to do that all day. But also these US public companies have a sunk cost in their global sales channel, and they need new technology to come through so they have things to sell. So once we spotted that pattern, we knew when we did Aftermail from day one that would be a trade sale, and that has a whole bunch of benefits around building our personal capital, getting experience, all of those things. But after we sold it, and I remember, and we sold it to Quest Software in the US, I remember seeing the CEO of Quest talking about, his business, how long he'd been doing it, who they'd brought, who had sort of gone by the wayside, who had been brought, and you kind of, when you sell a business, you kind of think you get up to level 10, but then suddenly level 11 presented itself. And as I sort of read all my kind of business books, as I was sort of growing up, the ultimate is to take a company public. So suddenly I had this personal goal where it would actually be really cool to build a long-term company, and not one necessarily that someone else would buy, but why not be on the other side of the equation? Why not build something which is long-term? And having sold a company through a trade sale, and when we thought about the funding of a company, we realised that there weren't that many options to build a long-term scalable business. So when we sold Aftermail, we had about 23 staff, and that always felt a bit compromised. We just didn't have enough people. So it didn't matter what we were doing. I wanted at least 50 people. I figured that was sort of critical mass for building a software company. And in this software as a service space, it's a great opportunity, but you only get a small amount of money every month, so it takes time to build the business. So 50 people is about 500 grand a month. Say we wanted 3 years, that's about $15 million. Now, if we wanted to, you just couldn't do an angel or VC round in New Zealand for $15 million. So we could have potentially raised money on the US West Coast, but we would have had a valuation of 17, and the business would have been for sale from day one. On the back of selling Aftermail and selling TradeMe, and after a successful exit with 42 below, we just figured the time was right to tell a big story, and to say, hey, here's a great market opportunity, we've got a great team of people, we're experienced, we know what we can do, give us the money to be able to go and build a long-term scalable business. So fast forward 3 years, the process has been great. Being a public company, we have a whole lot of disciplines and all those that are in place for doing that. We've had great advisors, a great board that's helped us build a really great company. We've been able to go back to the markets and use placements to increase our funding. So when MYOB, our main competitor in Australia, got sold to private equity, we got the founder of MYOB, Craig Winkler, to put some money in, about $18-20 million. We did a SPP to allow our existing early shareholders to come in at the same value, and that sort of blew out to a $30 million round. Then as we started plotting our US strategy, we started to interact with kind of the dream people we wanted to in the States, and we managed to get Peter Thiel, the first outside investor on Facebook, to do a small placement as well. So we've been able to really leverage being a public company, get great brand, been able to raise more money as we need to, and now we're in a really good position. It's coming up to almost 4 years, we still have plenty of cash in the bank, and we have the time to implement strategy, and I think we're building a globally successful business.
Why did you do it in New Zealand rather than, let's say, Australia or the NASDAQ or the London market?
Well, pragmatically, because we could. We were known here and all of those things. But now, kind of looking back, there's a whole lot of advantages doing it here. It's a small enough country that you can get around the media and the financial institutions, so that they can, we've got good relationships. So they have been very supportive. The compliance costs of doing it in here are relatively small. It's not too onerous being a public company. It's quite a lot of fun. We get a big marketing benefit. So using New Zealand as our first market, all the benefits of being a public company gives us all that sort of PR and profile and all of those things. And when we compare against the US, the US, they're reporting every quarter, which is 12 weeks is just a pretty hard treadmill. So I think doing sort of the early stages of a New Zealand public company works really, really well. And we have a whole lot of options. We could potentially dual list if we need to, but we're very comfortable being on the market. It's been a great experience.
Now, you've been an entrepreneur in New Zealand and you're pretty aware of what's happening in the United States. I'm curious, there's a debate at the moment about US-style capitalism and whether or not it has a future. You're right at that level where you see it at a pretty intense level. Do you think the US-style capitalism, you talked about the quarterly reports, the intense focus on short-term performance, do you think that has a future in the long term, or whether you think something different might come up?
Yeah, I think we're kind of the next generation company. So we started off on day one on being public, and we've also we started as social media was going there. So we've always had the approach of if we're public, let's exploit that. So we're very open with our information. We're blogging. We have open conversations on our website, and we have a very simple and core set of values that we try to come through. So I think if you're a company that's gone for a long time and then you list, there's a whole lot of sort of corporate baggage that goes along that. But being able to start as a very young public company from day one in this world of social media allows you to kind of have quite a different relationship. So it's just being really honest, having open conversations, and we found that has worked for us quite well. And I think because we can have that conversation, we can actually have a long-term discussion. So we've never tried to amp it up too much. We've always said this is a very much a long-term game, and now we've had the 2 or 3 years to build the business, and now the revenues are doing their thing and all of that. So I think I think there are these newer companies coming through that are using the public markets for the right reasons, and hopefully for the internal teams are having a good experience, and hopefully they can deliver a great experience for shareholders as well.
And just finally, can you, for those people who aren't familiar with Xero, explain, you talked about the big story, what the big story here is. I have to disclose that Interest.co.nz is a customer of Xero, and it sort of struck us when we were using it that, boy, this isn't just a software system for small businesses. You could actually take this somewhere quite interesting. Can you paint us the big picture here? Yeah,
so the big picture is the consumer side of the internet is huge, and there's been a lot of innovation there. We've seen the Facebooks and the YouTubes, these brands created in a very short amount of time. So the problem with the consumer market is that no one likes to pay for anything. So there's non-direct advertising-based revenue models. The next biggest market must be all small businesses, and the fundamental difference between consumers and small businesses, because they're exactly the same people, is with your small business hat you'll pay for things. Therefore, the small business web, we think, is the biggest monetizable opportunity on the web. There's billions and billions of dollars, and what the internet has now allowed us to do is cost effectively take products to the market. And the small business market hasn't seen much innovation over the last 10 or 15 years. They have installed desktop software. It's transformational having them online. So our hypothesis was the incumbents in the market, the Intuits, the MYOBs, the Sages, would find it very difficult to move to the next generation of software.
And have they?
They haven't. It's just quite amazing. So we're now probably we've got the best technology in the world. We've got 30,000 plus customers in over 50 countries, and that's why we've been building the software. We're now at the end of the beginning. We have the core accounting package, and now we're building all the really neat stuff, the mobile interfaces, the address verifications, the connections with banks. So, who knows what's going to happen, but we're feeling pretty excited about the opportunity in the US.
You'd think that accounting is quite local. Tax rules are different for each country, practices are different for each country. Can it really be applied internationally?
Yeah, yes it can, but that's good software design, so we abstract out the tax. So we have a New Zealand specific system, an Australian one, a UK version, then a global version with user configurable sales tax, which we've got customers in 50 countries using quite happily. We're just about to release a US specific version now. We're getting ready to enter that market. And the reason why we can do this from New Zealand is that in New Zealand, especially down in Wellington, which is a hotbed of software, and it's a small town, you can build really good multidiscipline teams. So this means you can actually get a bunch of people with different schools working together, and small cities with bad weather actually encourage that. And you think about trying to create a team like we have in San Francisco, it'd be really expensive, and people really don't network outside their gene pools. You're kind of in the Microsoft building or in the Google building, whereas we have this much greater level of diversity, which software loves, because you get all these skills together. So I think it's really exciting. We saw what happened with TradeMe, when the server runs the business, and then we're taking that to the next level. Let's do that on a global scale.
And could you take it into the SAP Oracle area where you have business information systems, not just accounting systems, but business information systems for a really big business? Because that's a huge market.
Yeah, so we're not interested in that space at all. What we're interested in, taking the sort of things that you would expect to get as an enterprise right down to the small business owner. So the thing with the internet is we price it really cheap. We're sort of $49 a month, no servers, all that sort of stuff. So our model is tens of thousands of customers, if not hundreds of thousands of customers, but getting them access to these great tools. And it's just magical seeing small businesses now getting excited about their numbers, because it's easy and it's fun and it's graphical and they can do it on their phone. And we're really transforming the industry. We have over half of the accountants in New Zealand with Xero customers on board, and we're just marching through their base. So it's great. We really think we're building a significant company on a global scale. And just got back from San Francisco, and when we benchmark ourselves against other people in this space, we feel very comfortable.
Excellent. Rod Drury there, the CEO of Xero here. In another of our double shot interviews, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz.